So usually how I like to start these conversations is talk about the journey. You know, it's usually fun to hear the origin stories and hear the idea of a company even get started. And yours is pretty funny, right? And then I feel like the first person you went to after you kind of had the idea is really important and funny too. And so let's talk about 2017. I believe you just moved back to Portugal
Yeah,
and you're kind of chilling with the guys, having a good night, and then kind of what happens from there. How does the idea happen?
that was an epic night. I mean, it was nothing to do with an epic night. It just became one randomly. We were all a bit drunk. We were all smoking up, and we were in that stage of the night where nothing productive would come
Sure.
up
Yes.
until one of my friends came up with the idea of making a shoe for smoking.
Hmm.
It was the hilarious, most funny idea ever. We were like, "Yeah, this guy is he smoked too much."
Yes. Yes.
But then I was like, actually, I've seen wallets and bags made of hemp. I mean,
Hmm.
why not trying a shoe? So everyone was like, yeah, maybe. And I was like, actually, I was really into the idea. So I next day I came up to the most unlikely person ever, which was my grandmother. And people are like, "What? My grandmother?" Yes, actually, that's the thing. She has over 50 years experience in textiles, so she knows a lot. She knows what is the best way to make things. She literally knows her space. So eventually, I mean, not eventually, she wanted to throw me out of the house because I was
Sure.
like, "Grandma, I want to make a shoe out of cannabis." And she didn't think it was too funny. So
Yes. Yeah, I'm sure.
yeah, a little bit complicated. I mean, she, like most people out there, she doesn't understand what is cannabis. I mean, cannabis is a drug. Is That's what people think. It's gonna kill everyone. It's
Right.
it's uh, it's like devil. The reality is it's not. There is the part of the plant that has been criminalized for all these years, but there's also many good things about the plant that have been completely obliterated all these years. And one of them is the fact that it's super strong,
Hmm.
super durable, and super ecological. So when I ordered some sample fabric for to do the first prototypes, she actually realized, oh, actually, this is pretty good fabric. And I told you, this is not a drug. It's not like what do you think? And she was from that moment on, she was like, okay, maybe this guy is right. Maybe it's a good idea to make a shoe out of cannabis, out of hemp, which is actually the sub part of cannabis. From that moment on, we started buying hemp from all over the world, from China to Nepal, India, Romania, Canada, France, the Netherlands, Portugal. I think we also bought from Pakistan. We basically bought from everyone. South
Yeah.
Africa as well. We bought from everyone. We're like, we gotta have the best one. From that moment, we were like, okay, prototyping, prototyping, prototyping. It took us a long time to get things done.
Amazing. So, real quick, what is we mentioned hemp and cannabis, right? It's the same plant, but hemp is something that is extracted from the plant. Is that the idea? It's not the like the cannabinoid part, right? The stuff that
Yeah,
gets you.
yeah,
Most people know that part, right? The people
yeah.
smoke that. Yeah.
Exactly. So the big difference is when you have many subtypes of the plant. Ours is hemp comes. Industrial hemp is a sativa sub branch. What we and it, I mean, the plant has been optimized to grow in height, not to get the flowers. So the same way a cow is bred to for milk or for meat.
Mm,
This plant is I would not say breath, but it's like optimized
gotcha.
to grow in height because the fiber is actually extracted from the trunk.
Mm,
So it grows outdoors, and they want it to go as tall as possible. So some plants even go as tall as 3 meters high, and then we basically there's a machine that cuts down all these trees, all these like plants, and it leaves it on the floor to kind of like to mature the not to mature but like to dry up. Basically, it leaves it on the ground for like 2 3 weeks to get the fiber ready, and then they take the fiber, they peel it off from the trunk, and then they make you get what it's called a hemp fiber, which is then used to make the thread, the fabric, and then the shoes.
When we compare it to other like textiles or materials,
Yeah,
what makes it superior, right? When we compare it to other maybe materials that people know of, but this seems to be much more, like you said, ecological, sustainable, longer lasting, tough and durable.
yeah,
Waterproof is a big one that, the sneakers, a big selling point for the sneakers. Like,
yeah.
were you surprised? Did you know when you first started that the material was so sort of diverse and quite superior to other materials that we sort of know of?
To be honest, I didn't. It was the more I dug into the subject that I realized that I was tapping into something big.
Hmm.
It was completely out of my mind that hemp was such a good material. So when I first start ordering the samples, I realized that okay, it's actually pretty good. But I didn't realize that it was actually. I thought it was the fabric or the way it was woven. I didn't realize it was the actually the fiber itself, because at that point I knew nothing about fiber and fabric, and I was completely ignorant. So my grandma explained me some of these things, and then I decided to look further into it. Of course, when I look further, I look at the history of the plant. I realized that it had huge appliances in the past, and then it has also super. So it all started when I found out that hemp was used to made Henry Ford's car,
Hmm.
one of the first, and I was like, really, can hemp really do this? And then I realized that hemp was not only used to make that car. That car was actually much stronger than steel. And there is a
You
video on
mean
our
make it made
Instagram.
like that, like the seats of the car, like the outer parts of it, you're saying?
No, the outer parts. There
Oh,
is a
wow.
video on our Instagram where he actually has a. There's Henry Ford presenting his hemp car in like some convention,
Huh.
and then he's like showing off his car, and then he bring a guy with an axe, and the guy with an axe is hitting the car, and the car wouldn't dent. It was crazy. I was like, wow, it's
So we
it's
need, so if Elon's listening, we need a hemp Tesla, right? You're saying we can make a hemp Tesla.
definitely. But there's one problem with hemp right now. It's very expensive. That's
Gotcha,
yeah,
gotcha.
yeah,
Limited edition
exactly.
run, yeah, yeah. And it's
Yeah,
expensive because why? Just there's just not a lot of it right now, just supply and demand.
exactly, exactly. That's the problem. I mean, steel is aluminium is still very cheap, and hemp is not. So that makes it very complicated to apply in cars. I mean, it's a huge quantity of hemp to be used in a car, so that would make it much harder. And even if
Sure.
the price would not be a problem, there's still another problem, which is the lack of supply.
Hmm.
So it's the same problem. It's kind of the same problem,
And
but
that's because it's still there's still some legality hurdles facing the growth of it around the world.
actually, industrial hemp. One thing that Trump did very, and then that everyone was happy, was completely legalize industrial hemp. So it's everyone can grow it. I mean, there's a few more technicalities in each state, I believe.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
I'm not fully like informed on this. But you can definitely plan it. There's no, it's not a big thing.
But
Uh,
you said you got it, the samples you got from all over the world, right? So that's still those places just still have very limited supplies of hemp. They're not growing it at mass scale. So it's still expensive because there's not the demand for it quite yet.
Yeah, it's both a supply and a demand problem. The thing is, even if there is enough supply of hemp, there's still, and one thing that we noticed in the market is there's a bigger lack of people that are transforming the hemp into other
Mm,
things.
gotcha.
So there are already a lot of people approaching us saying, "Hey, we make hemp," and I was like, "Okay, but we don't process the hemp. We need someone to do it." And there's very few people doing this,
Gotcha.
and there's even less people doing this with quality. So you see what's the struggle here? It's not
Yes.
just making hemp; it's like creating a whole ecosystem around the fiber that
Hmm.
allows it to be used for in the industry.
So let's talk about early on when you first launched, because I remember you guys sold out pretty quickly. Was it through Kickstarter? I forget what
Yeah,
platform it was. Yeah, yeah, and it was under the name Dope Kicks.
that's correct. The whole
And
name.
so that was the old name, and there's just been a rebrand, and we'll talk about that. But talk about the first, launch and pretty much like selling out very, very quickly. Were you expecting that? Was that a wild ride a little bit? Because I remember it got some pretty good press, and I mean it sold out rather quickly. You hit your raise on Kickstarter. So talk about that journey.
We did sell out immediately after Kickstarter. That's what we sold out in like 1 month and a half. Yeah, I mean, we launched on Kickstarter on the 21st of May 2019. Special day for me and my grandmother
Yeah.
and the team, of course. We were like, let's launch it. Like lots of months to prepare the shoes. Suddenly, yeah, let's launch it today. I mean, of course, we didn't make the decision on the day, right? We decided to launch it on the 21st, and it was crazy, man. Immediately the first day, we raised like 10K,
Yeah.
and then we were like, whoa, this is going crazy. And then more and more and more, and we ended up raising to 150K on
Wow.
Kickstarter.
Amazing.
And then we stopped. We went back to the factory. We bought hemp. We started making the shoes. We made extra shoes and say, let's launch it on our website now. Then we launched it on like December, January 2020. And suddenly in February, we're out of shoes.
And
So it was
how many pairs was that?
2,500.
Okay. Okay. That's a lot.
And then we sold another 1,000, I believe, on our website
Hmm.
immediately after launch. And they also flew pretty quick. So yeah, we had to make more, but that's where the problems began because of the
Yeah.
virus.
So let's talk about that, because then you're living pretty good. Like you're feeling really good, right? Like you're making something that
Yeah, it was top
people
of the
want.
wave.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden, obviously, bam, the whole world stops. Talk about that ride that you took maybe the last, let's say, year, right? When so the virus takes over and then production completely stops, correct? Or is there
Yeah.
it stops,
No,
it
no,
goes
it
back up, it
completely
stops,
stopped.
it goes back up? How does that how has the
Yeah,
last year been?
completely stopped. Man, the last year was intense. It was really, really complicated. So we were top of our wave and going crazy. The sky was bright and it
Every
was
day was sunny.
suddenly thunderstorm. Like I mean, we start seeing some problems in the horizon, but everyone was like, it's okay. We're never gonna hit. This is like a small flu. We got so many already. Never thought this was gonna affect us, right? So then suddenly, I mean, in the shoe business, you all you need is one component to stop being manufactured, and you have to stop manufacturing. I mean, if you don't have the eyelets, if you don't have the shoelaces, if you don't have the soles, if you don't have the insoles, you only need one component left. Bam, that's it. You can always try to find new manufacturers for that same component, which we did, but at that point, it was impossible. So suddenly, we're like January, February, things were selling pretty fast. But then March was, we already like ordering materials, but March we were like, okay, we better get this done quick. But it was not quick enough. No one could make it quick enough, and suddenly components didn't get manufacturing in time, and we simply couldn't make any shoes for 6 months.
Wow.
We didn't make any shoes from January until July. Yeah, 7 months.
Wow.
So we were like, we gotta do
Did
something
you
with it.
start making masks at that point? Is that when you started?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
we got that's what I was about to say. We were like, we gotta find alternatives because
Right.
everyone in the shoe business in Portugal was like, no, we're not gonna make any more shoes. We're gonna make masks because that's what the money is right now.
Right.
And we were like, no, but what about that's not your core? You gotta make what you're good at. I mean, but yeah, but no one was. It's understandable, but at the same time, it's like these people gotta. I mean, people were at home. No one was manufacturing anything. So suddenly everyone was all these factories were kind of slowly opening up and making masks instead of shoes, and we kind of start doing the same thing. So me and my grandmother, we were like in our workshop making masks. We made 200 masks. We donated them all. we never thought we're gonna make money out of hemp masks. But then people start posting pictures online, and everyone start asking us for masks, and we're like, oh, but we're just making this for giving away. We're trying to do our share to finish this pandemic. And everyone was like, no, but we want to buy them, and we're like, all right.
Yep. Yeah.
Right, so we continue our donation program, and at the same time we start making masks for selling. And suddenly we made 100 masks for selling, 200, 500, 1000, 2000, 3000, 4000. And
Wow.
then suddenly, before we realized, we were like selling thousands of masks.
Wow.
And then we sending them to the US, selling them in Portugal. And there was a point where we were like selling more masks than shoes. I mean, shoes we were
Sure.
pretty much selling anything, but even when we would like start selling shoes, we were still selling a lot of masks. So it was crazy. It was then that we realized, okay, at that stage we also, okay, production in Portugal was still very complicated. We were selling a lot of masks, and then we realized we gotta move production of the shoes.
Yeah.
We kind of started I was in China, went to China earlier that year to already find alternatives. We were like, we got to do something, because masks, it's nice, but it's gonna be a limited game, right? It's gonna
Yep.
be temporary thing, right? We moved to I was in China trying to find suppliers to get me some shoes done, because we already get a lot of our hemp from there, so why not just making the full shoe there? So we start doing that, and making the shoes in a really good factory in China that we found.
Was that hard
Uh,
to find?
yeah, it was pretty hard to find, but then we got a hint from an advisor that says, Bernard, if you're doing hemp shoes, you got to talk with this guy. I was just like not expecting to find much, but then I went to their factory. It looked like a lab. They had really top-notch machinery, and they already make a lot of shoes for exporting, like really good quality stuff. And I was like, okay, let's work with these people because they really know the game. And that's pretty much, we just like fighting for survival.
Yeah. Yeah. Is
And
this is this
that's
when
all.
you is this still all under the Dope Kicks brand, or when did you change it to 8,000 Kicks, and talk a little bit about the name change, why you did it, and the new name I think has a really cool meaning. So talk a little bit
Yeah.
about that as well.
Yeah. So as things were not complicated enough, we decided to do a full rebrand as well.
Yeah.
uh, exactly. So we were like, we had a lot of problems with our previous name, Dope Kicks. It was not a bad name, but the word dope is a
Sure.
complicated word.
Yeah.
It got us into a lot of trouble with Facebook, with Google, Snapchat, TikTok. Everyone was like, "Oh, you guys selling drugs?" And we're like, "No, it's just hemp shoe." Oh, but you have dope here. And but we're like, "No, but it's a hemp shoe." And it's basically, we eventually succeeded in reapplying and requesting reviews. But even banks, everyone was taking I
Sure.
mean, taking our case on this. Is like everyone was pulling us aside to ask questions, and it's just annoying.
Yeah.
Uh, and then some people were like already not feeling very comfortable to have the word dope on the
Mhm.
brand. So you're like, you start thinking twice a lot of these things. Also, getting the domain dope kicks was getting pretty complicated. So we decided to just, okay, let's finish all this for once and change the name. So
Mhm.
we decided to change for 8,000 kicks. Why 8,000? Because 8,000 BC, it's when hemp first started being made in Taiwan. So we were like, let's honor the
Yeah.
heritage
Really
of
cool.
our number one material, and let's call it after it. So 8,000 kicks from 8,000 BC.
Amazing. So where are we at now? How does production sort of work now that you have it back up and going, right? What's the sort of plan now going forward? Can people go on the site and buy sneakers now, right? Because you
Yeah,
have supply.
yeah. So people are now, the way it works is people go to our website and they drop their orders, and we ship them right away. But the basic issue here is we're struggling to keep up with the demand a little bit.
Hmm.
At the same time, the reason we are not able to scale so fast is that it takes us a long time to process the entire shoe,
Hmm.
the hemp, the shoe, and bring it to our warehouse. So the entire process takes a long time. We just got a big restock. We already working on the next one. It's like we have to work a long time in advance to get this thing sorted. We have to anticipate the orders for like where they're gonna go in the summer and stuff like that. So that's pretty much the challenge. So the way it has been working is every time we drop the new colors or new
Yep.
styles or styles. Or currently we only have one, but every time there's something comes up, we just start working on new ideas, new like hemp products. Like earlier before, I mean, we are already planning what we're gonna launch later 2021, and we're already getting that hemp sourced. That's how early we have to work. uh
Do you think that it's always going to be like just sneakers, or could you, because you could theoretically you can make shirts and hoodies, right? Like you could become a lifestyle brand that
yeah,
has multiple products, not just sneakers. Is that something that you think about?
yeah, we do think a lot about it. The thing is, we still have to make really good we still have a lot of good sneakers to make,
Yes, yes.
and that should be still a priority for us instead of thinking about making everything right away.
Yeah, for sure. No, I think it's, listen, man, I think that's a great, stay focused on being the best hemp
Yes,
sneaker in the
sir.
world, right? I mean, that's,
Exactly.
once you do that, then you can make anything and people will support it and trust it, right? Um,
Exactly.
what are the other potential styles that you like that you'd want to make?
I cannot reveal everything that I'm planning,
Of
but
course.
we have some pretty cool stuff. I mean, we have a pretty innovative team. They come up with really interesting concepts, and it's stuff that it's really a little bit different from what is out there. But our goal here is we need to make something different, something that
Hmm.
follows our values, but something that we would look and say, I would definitely use this every day.
When you think about like, impact and sort of sustainability, it seems to be at the heart of what you're trying to do, right? You take it
Yeah,
seriously, but with obviously manufacturing products and shipping products, right? Like there's a lot of environmental toll that the production
that's true.
of things, just it's just a byproduct of the production of any type of product. When you
Yep.
I guess when you started the company, did you think about that at all, or are you starting to think about more now that you could start think about these ways that the company can be, sustainable and be very thoughtful about the production of its product from an environmental standpoint and either other standpoints too, right? I mean, you're creating jobs and hopefully as Portugal comes back, maybe create more local jobs. I think it's one of the most important things that a company can
Yep.
do.
No, that's definitely a big thing for us. Also, number one, because we're all concerned millennials. Number two, because we're all vegan and vegetarian in the team, except my grandmother. She's, but she eats a lot of veggies with us. That's also important. And then also very importantly, it's like we take we were like started this company with a goal of changing the way things are done and improving for the best, not for the worst. So if we wanted to get things worse, we would just not do it at all. I mean, we
Right.
want to. And the thing is, I'm gonna be honest with you. When we started the company, we did our best to improve things and create a good impact. But we didn't have everything sorted. We didn't have all the certifications with the factories.
Sure. It's
We didn't
hard,
have.
man. It's
Yeah,
hard to do. Yeah.
it's super hard, and even today we are working on that. The reality is it's impossible for you to start a company and in 6 months have everything figured out. It's really impossible.
Of course. Absolutely.
What we are doing is every time we're trying to work with certification, going to the factories, understand what's their consumption. We even we publish the salaries that we pay our workers. I
Yeah, I
mean,
saw that. That was cool. Yeah, I saw that.
yeah, exactly. I mean, we did a full like we dig down on the factories to understand what exactly are they doing, how much they're paying, how much the
Hmm.
renewable sources are they using in their factory? How much of the local power is sourced by renewable sources or fossil sources? I mean, that is deep, man. It took us a long
Yeah.
time to figure it out. But that's nothing. I mean, people continue asking for, and we continue asking ourselves for more. But it's tough to get the entire world to change in 6 months or 1 year or 5 years, right? We already choose the best manufacturers, but even the best manufacturers, they are subject to the local conditions, right? So to the ecosystem where they work. I mean, we cannot tell our suppliers in Portugal to use 100% renewable energies when the local government in China or Portugal or whatever doesn't have windmills
Right, right.
or solar farms, right? So it really is a continuous improvement process.
I'll wrap it up and end on the future a little bit. And I know it's been a wild ride this last year, but it seems like you really weathered the storm, so to speak, and got through it, right? Such an important time in the company's history that you got through it, right? Like it's hard to
Yeah,
fathom that there would be something like this that would occur again. Like because even if some sort of pandemic happens, I think the world is kind of prepared for it and things would be different as far as the world wouldn't stop, right? I think we're a little bit more prepared now.
yeah.
So getting through that, you have to feel really good, right? But when you look at the next, 3 to 5 years, what are you excited about? What are some of the goals and successes that you want to try to get to?
That's a good question. I think for now the main goal is to survive this entire pandemic. Although the job is 90% done, it's not
Yeah,
completed.
yeah,
Until everyone is vaccinated, the restrictions are lifted. We
yes,
still are on like surviving mode, and we don't want to die 100 meters from crossing the line.
right. No, it's crazy.
Right. So we still weighing very carefully, measuring our actions really carefully. But assuming that things are gonna get much better in the next 6 months, which I definitely hope so. Our goals is to continue doing hemp products, launching new quality products that we can like surprise our customers. I
Hmm.
cannot tell you exactly which ones, but we just launched
Sure.
2 days ago hemp socks, which is something completely new. They are the world's first ankle hemp socks, and we have a few firsts coming later
Nice.
this year as well. And yeah, man, the sky's the limit. Make him great again. I guess
Make
that's all.
awesome, man. Well, I appreciate you taking the time and
My pleasure, Grant.
really, I mean, really inspiring story, man. I think a lot of startups and companies can relate to your story. The last year of trying to just get and be in survival mode, right? I think it's such a thing that resonates with everybody right now. So appreciate you taking the time, man. Best of luck the rest of this year, of course, and to the next decade, man. Cheers.
Cheers, man.